It is therefore an object of some utility and importance for a man to acquire a dexterity in boxing, in order to defend himself against such rudeness and to protect those whose weakness, age, or sex renders them liable to the insults of the rabble, and deprives them of all power of effectual resistance.
Hey folks, it's Chris Dyer here at Reborn Martial Arts in Springfield, Virginia, and today we are on part 5 of our anonymous sourced 1789 manual, The Art of Manual Defense. We are going to be covering chapters 5, 6, and 7 today, as well as a conclusion at the end. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's start with chapter 5. These starts with 3 key points, or the 3 things that are essential to be a good boxer, and then 4 sort of major overarching lessons that a student should keep in mind. So the first part is the 3 things necessary to be a good boxer. The first one is strength. He actually says that there's a huge debate. Is it dexterity or strength that's kind of the more important stat to put your points into? Nerds out there will get that reference. Which one's more important to get, strength or dex? He says strength because a person that's dexterous or is skilled in the art, that can take you above what you're capable of physically. But if you are very, very skillful, if you're very dexterous and really good at the art, but you have nothing behind that, it doesn't play out. You can hit the person and it doesn't really matter. The second thing that he says is obviously art or dexterity or the skill of the boxing. So if you are really, really strong but you don't know how to box, this is what he refers to as the natural boxer, and we know that, you know, straight line strikes and good skill can beat that person and make up for the lack of strength. And then the third thing is what he refers to as bottom, which is the phrase that's usually used in this time period: bottom or courage or your grit. These are the 3 essential things. I want to know in the comments below what your thoughts on these 3 things. What do you think is the most important? Strength or the art of boxing? If you had to choose between the 2 to be more strong or to be a better boxer, which one would you choose? I know my answer, and if you stay till the end, I'll say my conclusion on that. But then the courage is the most important kind of thing that you can or cannot train. You know, it's a question. Can you train someone to be courageous? I don't know. But he does say that it's rare to have all 3. So a person that's both strong and skilled, rarely do they need to be, you know, have that grit, have that determination, have that extra something, because they're just good. They're just naturally good. A person that's courageous and artful might not be the strongest person. And then a person that is strong and courageous, they don't need to train. They don't need skill because they're just awesome, right? They're that heroic figure that rushes into battle and doesn't have to worry about being skillful in the art. So again, put your comments below. What do you think is most important? You can probably guess what my answer is. All right. The next part of this is the 4 lessons. So I'm going to use Mike for this. The first thing that you have to develop is the quick eye. So we're going to play a quick little game. This is a great way to train this. So if Mike takes a guard, I'm going to close my eyes. He's going to say open them. He's going to move his guard around. He's going to open them. He's going to move his guard around. I'm going to open my eyes when he says open, and he's going to just stand here. And my job is to find the best available target based on his guard. So he says open. Open. Boom. And I'm going to find his best available target. Then I close my eyes. He moves around a little bit. Open. And I'm going to find that target and go. So the very first thing that you want to develop is a quick eye. Be able to visually, in an instant, spot whatever guard that person leaves open for you. Again, this game is awesome for training. So if you got a partner, you train in a studio or whatever, do this with your partners. One person closes their eye, they move their guard around, they say open, you find that opening and you go for it. All right, the next part of this is the parry with the opposite hand. Always parry with the opposite hand. So if I throw my right, we've done this a million times at this point. So if I throw my right, Mike is always going to parry with his left. Always going to parry with his left. Always going to parry with his left. Unless, and this is what I love, he says always parry with the opposite arm. Unless. So if I'm coming through here and I'm doing, say, a chopper, and Mike does this left parry this way, or right parry against my right, and he cuts to the outside. If he slips this, moves to the outside, and he gets these strikes underneath. So he does give that as a caveat of, if you get the opportunity to cut to the outside, take that. And it's like, well, okay, great. Always do it, always do it, always do it, unless. All right, so the third part of this is never cross your arms. I actually saw someone in one of my classes earlier this week. They did this. They were doing some sort of drill, hand drill, sparring drill, and they blocked or they got into position where their arms were crossed like this as they were doing techniques, and their partner went exactly what he describes in this manual. Come down over top, and then you can just go right on in. And then the other person, the partner, was watching them for the rest of the match, waiting for them to do it again, because if they did it once, probably they're going to do it again. You never want to do this. There are, again, going back to always dealing in absolutes, right? There are times where we will cross our arms for different techniques when you're doing, like, club defenses. So if Mike comes in with a big club, I can do manipulations, but that is entirely different than what we're doing in boxing right now. You don't want to focus on doing this type of guard because they can trap you up. And then the fourth lesson that he has for his students is never neglect the return and favor the chopper. So what I mean by that, if Mike throws strike, I cover through here, I'm always going to give him a return. There's no reason not to give him the return. What he does say is favor the chopper, so I get this position, I can strike this way. The reason we favor that left again, the reason we favor this chopper is if he does start throwing that other punch, I can simultaneous block and strike. So it's one of the advanced skills that comes later in the things. You can look at the previous videos about that. So you block, chop, and you can parry at the same time. So it's pretty advanced. All right, so let's look at chapter 6. This is actually a really short chapter and is really self-explanatory. In fact, he says it's the first two of the three things he talks about are self-explanatory. So we're on guard. There are three types of strikes that you can give. So if Mike and I are on guard, I can give him what he calls the natural fighter's method of throwing a strike, a round strike. A round strike, he describes this. Any sort of coming across this direction, any sort of round type of motion. The big arcing sort of motion is a round strike. The advanced version of giving a strike is the straight strike. So I go through like this, I can come down like this. I'm giving Mike the straight strike, a straight blow. And then the third one is you guess it, chopper. So we're here and I can chop and chop. I'm blocking down and striking this way. He always is favoring this because he says it's going to be the hardest one for a person on the opposing end to detect, and it's harder for a person to deal with because it's not in the usual repertoire of a person that just knows how to throw straight strikes and round blows. He does mention in this chapter also some of the best targets to hit, so we're going to use Mike as a scarecrow. This part, again, self-explanatory, and says self-explanatory. If I have straight, actually bring your guard back up. So if I have straight blows, he's not going to block. If I have straight blows, my targets are solar plexus and on the face. If I have round blows, and he's turned, and he does say, if your partner sets something or your opponent sets something up, gives you a target, and let's say this is over, the arm is over here, this hand's guarding this way, and he's turned a little bit. It doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for me to punch down this center line because he's got this guarded, but a round blow over here to Mike's cheek or temple or whatever, or back here, makes a lot of sense. So take those shots, even though they're less skillful shots, they make a lot of sense. So do the strike to the best targets. So center line strikes, obviously straight blows, targets to the side, so the ears, temple, neck, kidneys even. You can go for liver punch. These are all good side targets. And then again, you can go back to this with that eye closed drill. So now if Mike takes his guard, he's just going to move his guard around. Say open. Open. So my job is to quickly open my eyes, find my best available target, boom, and go for it, and give the appropriate strike. So I'm not going to give a straight blow. If I'm moving here to the side, I'm going to come around here, I'm going to wind up for this strike. Again, I close my eyes, Mike moves his guard around, he says open. Open. I need to give him an appropriate strike. Appropriate strike to that target. So do a round blow again around his guard. All right, so last and final, let's look at our last chapter on closing and throwing. All right. Here's chapter 7. This will be the last part that we're going to cover from this manual, and then we'll give a quick little conclusion at the end. And stay tuned to the very end. I'll tell you my top 3, or the order that I would put: strength, courage, and dexterity. All right, so here we are. If they close to grapple section of this. So we know that boxing at this time, striking was obviously allowed, kicking was allowed, grappling was allowed, even though he does say that it encroaches in on wrestlers, which is, obvious. But there's no kind of distinction between boxing and wrestling necessarily. You could do both in a match. It's just kind of like a gentleman's agreement not to grapple each other. But, obviously, if we're dealing with a chapter on this, grappling was definitely allowed in the boxing rings. So he gives 3 quick lessons on countering a grappler, and then he gives 3 lessons on if you do end up grappling yourself. So the first one is, if I go to, and I'm going to have Mike do the techniques against me, so we're here. If Mike is, back up just a little bit, here we go. So if Mike is a grappler, he wants to move in, he wants to kind of close in to throw me. The first thing that he says to do is, if he's trying to close in, boom, stop him with a straight blow. I mean, this is the obvious choice. The person tries to strike you or get in close, you stop him with a powerful blow. And notice I'm going for solar plexus, or I'm going for face, because I want to knock him, sit him down as fast as possible. The second part is, if they persist in this, if I hit them, they back up a little bit, but now they're even more determined. They're going to do it again, and I know that they're going to keep coming in. What I want to do is hit them. Nah. You're trying to grapple, Mike. I'm going to hit him, and I'm going to back out of it, because what I'm doing now is I'm actually wearing him down. I'm going to hit, I'm going to run. I'm going to hit, I'm going to run. I'm going to hit, I'm going to not necessarily run away, but I'm going to, especially if we're in like a ring type space, I want to hit him, and I want to create distance, and create that distance so now he has to enter past my blows in order to get in again. So if that makes any sense, that if he's really determined to grapple me, just hit him and back up. Hit them and back up. So this is kind of an obvious choice. If a person wants to grapple you, just keep at distance and keep hitting them until they get worn down, or you get that one lucky shot to strike them. And now we get to a really, really interesting thing. So at this point, we do have at play the 1743 Broughton rules set for boxing, for set matches. This is important because it did have, there were 7 rules to boxing at this time that people were expected to follow. Things like no gouging, no ripping, pulling hair, these types of things. And there were rules about getting knocked down and getting back up. So if I get knocked down, I have 30 seconds to get back to standing position to do a thing. Now, why this matters in this grappling thing, he does say that if this person is much bigger than me, much stronger than me, if they throw a strike and he throws a big, powerful, like round strike or whatever, and I'm gonna hurt my own arms blocking this thing because this guy is such a beast, and they want to grapple you, don't try and get into that match. What you're gonna do is actually use the rules against them. So as he goes to strike me, I'm gonna drop down right here. As he goes to strike, I drop down. Maybe not, I'm being mean, I'm going to punch Mike in the crotch. You're not allowed to do that. Don't do that in the Broughton rules. But I take this knee. And now what happens is we have to back up. We have to give ourselves space. And now I'm back at it. I can hit him again, and I'm back at it. I have an opportunity. So if Mike is about to like seriously clobber me, he's that much bigger, stronger than me, or he's going to try and grapple me. He wants to grapple me. I take a knee, reset, and I just bought myself some time so I can come back with a new strategy to outfight him. So it's you kind of using the rule set against him. Now, this is probably not the best for self-defense, because if this person wants to grapple me and I go down to the ground, not such a great idea, right? He can pummel me, he can start driving knees into me, so it's not the best idea for self-defense, unless you do exactly what I was doing. So if he's trying to get a hold of me and I drop and change angles and hit him in the groin, that might be something to do. But again, this is a really, really unique type of thing. All right, so now let's cover what he says about if they are trying to grapple you and you're not bad at grappling yourself. So first thing that he's going to suggest is this fun technique. So he says if you can get into this position where I throw Mike's arm down, so I'm going to do an underhook with Mike's right, with my left. I'm going to underhook down. I'm going to come up, trap this into position, and then start going to town. Now he does say that, you know, a stronger person, a strong person that's skilled in grappling can get out of this, but he does say that for a brief second. We're here and we get to this position, I lock him up, and boom, boom, we got a couple strikes in there. So that's the first technique that he likes playing with. The next one is if we're both closing in. So the image for this is actually a lot of fun. Both people are like this in one of his plates. But he says that if Mike tries to get a leg behind me, which is really common, he's trying to trip me. The way to deal with this, not doing that type of trip. Mike, there you go. We're here, we're just kind of trying to tussle with each other. He says that all I need to do, just put the foot behind and I reverse this. If I'm trying to do this technique, Mike tries to reverse it, so he's going to slip my leg and I slip his leg. Oh, hey. And we go into this like slipping each other's leg fun little exercise, which is actually a really great drill to play. So we're just going to kind of take arms. Mike tries to slip me, I try and slip him. We're trying to out-slip each other as a sort of fun foot drill. And then lastly, we're actually switched spots. And we've covered this in one of our previous videos, the cross buttock. So this is if we are hip to hip, I go for this far shoulder, this arm sneaks down, grabs at his hip, and we load like so. All right. So we're here, and this is the, he says that this one is really, really dangerous because I get into this position and Mike has nothing to stop him from getting dropped down. If I wanted to angle it, Mike goes down over his head. So a really great way to finish that out. And we know that getting up from that position is going to be hard for him. It's going to take energy. It's, you know, demoralizing. That's a clear victory in my favor on that round. So, you know, it's a really, really good one to do if you're skilled in grappling. All right, so that is kind of the last bit that we cover in this manual. This manual is a game changer for the time. It's huge for what it introduces. It's done all kinds of things. It's done just basic drills. It's done partner drills. It's done mirror boxing. It's done counter grappling. It's done grappling. It's done, I mean, it's got everything. It's got feints, it's got returns, it's got chopping motions, which you haven't seen before. It's got pretty much everything in it. It's such an interesting historical piece. It's so much of the interesting things happening in this time period can be seen in the language used and in a lot of the stuff that's covered. It's a fantastic thing. All right, so I said at the end, I would talk about what I think the top 3 things, or the order that I would put things in for this. What is it? Would it be courage? Would it be the art of boxing? Would it be strength? I think I would put it in that order. I would say the most important thing would be courage, or bottom, if you will. If you don't have the necessary courage, the gumption or the grit to actually get in and train, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how strong you are. Doesn't matter how skillful you could be. If you don't have what it takes to go train, none of that matters. Right? I think the next thing is dexterity, or the art of boxing. Simply because, as try as I might, I can only get so big, so strong. I actually spent the last 3-4 months doing heavy lifting, and I'm still never going to be the biggest person around, right? I am a small framed person. So what am I supposed to do, right? There's genetic things going on, like some people are taller, some people are shorter, some people put on muscle easily, some people don't. Like, I think that relying on strength as your number one go-to is kind of like, yeah, that's nice if you're big, but what happens if you're like Daniel Mendoza, who was a much smaller person? Was he bad at boxing? No, because he spent a lot of time developing his skill. He could overcome bigger people. And then finally, strength, because, you know, yes, you can train it. You know, yes, you should be training it. Even if you're the smaller, lighter person, you should be training your strength so that your blows actually have power. But again, there's a lot of external things that you have no control over that kind of determine your strength. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. What do you guys think? I hope you guys are enjoying this. Comment below on what you would think your top 3 things, in what order that you would put them in. And next time we're actually going to take a pause from the sequential order, and we're actually going to go back to what I was just talking about, the Broughton rules. We're going to cover who Broughton was, why the rules are important, and we're going to kind of go over that, and then we'll continue on with our chronological look at the manuals. All right, guys, we will see you next time. Thank you, and be sure to like, subscribe, share, tell your friends all about this, and we'll see you soon.